Hello, good afternoon. I normally start this by saying good morning, so I'm immediately thrown off here, Megan. Jesse, Montaño, Meghan, Angley. That's T-Mobile Arena back there. I don't know if you can see it with the sun, but we are about 90-ish minutes away from puck drop here on Game 1, 2024-2025 season for the Colorado Avalanche, facing off against the Vegas Golden Knights. We're going to do a quick little mini pod here to get you guys ready, mini pregame pod, if you will. Megan, this is your first time going to a game here. You got to see the arena earlier this morning. That's just initial thoughts on T-Mobile.
We had such a little view of it, too, because of where we took morning skate. We didn't really venture out, and so I'm excited to see even more of it, like the press box, for example, what kind of vantage point I get. But what I'm most excited for is the atmosphere when the crowd is inside of it.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be what makes the arena special.
You and I were talking about it this morning. I'm super excited to get to be here, like for you experiencing it for the first time, because it is. It's great. I'm really excited. Optional skate for the Avs this morning. A little bit surprising, given that it's game one. You usually see optional skates a little bit later in the year when guys are a little bit more tired. But I feel like there was a lot of guys on the ice, and it was just like a good. I always hate doing this. It's like good vibes around the rink. Yeah.
No, it definitely felt that way, and the regulars that were out there. There's just a familiarity about it, too, in the way that they took it. It was as if the off-season didn't happen. It's like we've picked up right where we left off in this spot.
Very business as usual feel out there. Look, Jared Bednar said it himself. There's no secrets between these two teams. Vegas knows Colorado. Colorado knows Vegas. These are two teams. I don't necessarily say, like, ooh, they don't like each other. But there's a history there. There's some playoff history there. And I also think these are two teams who are out to prove some folks wrong. I think there's a lot of people out there that are counting one or both of these teams out already.
Absolutely. You know, in looking at the Vegas conversation, the depth that they've had that has made them so competitive has dwindled just a little bit, but it's still really competitive. When you look at the whole of that forward group, for example, how it matches up against where the Avs are right now, they're going to have their hands full tonight. Just in the top six alone, you compare second line by second line, one's very green on the Avs side, and Vegas still has a lot of experience up top. I've always liked their back end, and that's been one area, too, that they've managed to kind of keep together and keep fresh with a good mix of the veteran players that kind of hold it down. And so it's just not a team that I'm going to bet against, in part because of what I've seen them do late in seasons as well. They're kind of built for beyond just the 82 games, so I don't even think the regular season is where they shine most.
They have that real, like, early 2010s LA Kings feel about them where, like you said, they're just – their regular season kind of is their regular season, but it just feels like between the way they play and, to your point, some of the high-end players they have in that top six, it's just never a team you want to play. You know, like they're always a team where it's just like, ugh, it's never an easy game coming in here. Guys of note, I guess let's just run through the lineup really quickly as we are expecting it. Keeping in mind, it's Jared Bednar. There's going to be some blending going on, probably starting after one full cycle through lines 1 through 4, or the first time we see special teams, whichever comes first. I'm expecting it to be, for tonight, to start, Mikko Rantanen with McKinnon and Drouin. Looks like it's going to be Kovalenko with Middlestat in the middle and Cal Ritchie playing on the wing. A little bit less responsibility for Ritchie. They're going to have the 20s line back together, Wood, Colton, and O'Connor. And then you're going to have this, it's a true grinding fourth line. You hope they're going out there to be tough to play against. Yoel Kiviranta, Parker Kelly,
Ivan.
Let's
go.
I was leading this whole thing up to him. I saved him for last, and I lost his name at the last second.
You wanted to give me the honor.
That's right. I wanted you to do it. Ivan, we talked to him today after morning skate. Said it was maybe the best day of his life.
That was one of the most authentic smiles that I've seen in response to a few of the questions around
Vegas
making.
goal horn going off back here.
It's ambitious.
You're hearing that at home. Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry.
The smile on his face, just in talking about this moment for him, I remember when he signed his NHL contract, going up to Loveland and talking to him, and this was the goal. This was the dream.
This is a bit excessive. No, I don't know if you guys can hear this on the video. That was like 35 straight seconds of horn. I'm so sorry.
I'm so excited because it is so over the top. It's what I expected from Vegas.
Yeah, I was already so sorry. Keep going. You went up to Seaman Loveland.
Ivan, signing his NHL contract, this was always the goal. From the moment, too, like, this is a kid that evaded the draft. You know, like, he slipped through it and gets an American League contract, turns that into an NHL contract, and from the entire part of that journey, wanted to be in the NHL. It's what he was vying for. It's not just that he wanted it. He believed he could get there. And for him to do that in the span of a summer and a season is so impressive.
No, I completely agree with you. He's, again, we were talking to some folks this morning, and as much as we want to talk about how well he's integrated into this Avalanche system, you give the player a ton of credit for putting in the work. This isn't just like, oh, he picked up on it the best. Like, no, he outworked other people. He climbed over several guys with a lot more experience than he had, obviously, to earn a spot on this team. We talked about it on the show the other day that Jared Bednar said, we're picking this team based on performance, not based on experience, and he's the best example of that, even though you have Cal Ritchie making his NHL debut tonight as well, Nikolai Kovalenko making his regular season NHL debut. There's something about the way that Ivan got here that's just like, geez Louise.
Yeah, the odds maybe weren't always on his side. And so we were talking with Kevin McDonald this morning, and he said Ivan is a good example for other players that this path is possible. And I think that is so true.
And you now are looking at Logan O'Connor. Now Ivan. And Kovalenko to a different extent.
A late round draft pick.
It's a late round draft pick who did not necessarily take a conventional development track, and to be able to jump straight in to the NHL lineup.
And boy, did he have to earn it. Even getting in the playoff games at the end of last year, coming into camp, he didn't have the inside track.
I would go as far to say, he looked green enough in some of those playoff moments that I don't necessarily say that hurt him, but it was almost kind of like...
It created a distrust that he had to work around.
Yes,
then he had to build the new trust on top of it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way of putting it. Quickly, Alexander Georgiev going in net tonight. This is a guy that I think there's varying expectations for him, but I think, like we've talked about pretty consistently in the lead up here, this is someone that tonight and every night you're looking for him to be one save better than the other guy. You don't need him to be Patrick Waugh tonight.
He's going to have the most complete lineup in front of him than he's had all of preseason, and so he's going to have more support than we've seen yet. So it should be a good launch pad for the rest of the season. Hopefully, he's phase 2 with more regular hockey as well. Just the flow of the preseason had a lot of penalties. Hopefully that isn't the case tonight. Hopefully it's just a really true test of talents on either side.
There were some felt like above average penalties being called last night in some of the games, so I'm a little nervous for tonight. Yeah, and Georgiev, you want to see him make a couple of those big saves early in the game, kind of get himself into it. This is going to, the building's going to be going insane. Again, we can see down here, people have been kind of filtering in for the last few hours. There's a party going on out front. The building's going to be going crazy. Georgiev, I think, needs to get settled in early and get himself some saves.
It was something that sort of cropped up last year. Those first few shots on net were a little challenging for him. But then he'd be rock solid for the rest of the game, so you couldn't complain too much. But I'd like to see him work through that this year and just lock it in from the drop of the puck.
Especially with young guys in the lineup.
Yes.
This is a hell of an environment to be dropped into. That's something else Ivan told us. He talked about this morning that he was, told by some of the other players that this building really gets going. Cal Ritchie told us yesterday it's probably the best road building you could, start in for your career, given, when you're talking about atmosphere and stuff like that. So if Alexander Georgiev can help them to not give the crowd much to get into it about, again, just with the lineup the Avs are icing, that can maybe be a little bit helpful.
I want the momentum of the debuts to carry the team through the effort tonight, and I don't want them to be chasing the game. It's not to say, they can't get behind a little bit, but it's mostly because I want them to have fun. And if they spend the whole game chasing it, they're not going to have fun. And that's what I really want for these young guys especially.
they just want everyone. I just hope everyone has fun.
Great analysis. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, Meg.
Jared Bednar talked a lot about what we were mentioning the other day on the show, the center depth of the Vegas Golden Knights. You have Tomas Hertl, Jack Eichel, who I know he's a first-line center, so I know he gets plenty of credit, but this is a pretty high-end player that maybe isn't always included in the conversation when you're talking about McDavid, Matthews, McKinnon, those types of centers, but he's in that next tier down. You got Noah Hannafin on the back end. You got Alex Pietrangelo on the back end. This team has gone through some changes. Mark Stone, they've gone through some changes, but this is still a high-quality team on the other side.
Absolutely. That 1-2 punch down the middle up top is going to be a challenge for Casey Middlestat to contain. And it's not that he hasn't taken on big matchups from his time in Buffalo and briefly here in Colorado, but with such young line mates around him, it is going to be an added challenge for him tonight. And I'm looking forward to how he handles it.
He's got to be the one driving the bus for that line, offensively and defensively. I almost feel like as much as you want to see Cal Ritchie, flex the offense that he's got, and I think Casey Middlestat's a great player to pair him with. I think the story for tonight will be told through how well does that second line defend. And that's been such a constant, whether it's Nathan MacKinnon, Jared Bednar, Chris McFarland, or any of the other players who have talked to us. The 200-foot game is what separates this Avalanche team and what makes them a contender. All the true championship contending teams play well on both ends of the ice. And like we talk about, if they're doing the right things, Cal Ritchie's going to find himself in position to use his skill. Casey Middlestat's going to be able to make plays if they're doing the right things.
It feels like a big Kovalenko game, too, because of what his style of play is. That's going to be needed, especially against Vegas. I think they're perfectly suited for each other in the way that they play hockey. But similarly, that Roaring 20s line. I know that we've seen different versions of them throughout camp so far. We need to see the version of them that we saw teased last year start to get things into motion, because they can really inject a lot of energy that helps to build momentum in a game against a good team like Vegas.
So, all right, hold on. You bring up a funny point. I was actually about to wrap up the show, but you bring up an interesting point about Kovalenko, because as you were saying that, I was like, she's totally right. He's built for this type of stuff.
This is his hockey.
This is his type of game. Like, there's a real scenario that plays out here. I'm not saying he's going to come out and score a bunch of goals or anything, but where he can just
say it, coward.
Well, where he can just come out and like have a real statement game where it's just like, I can hang at this level, and not only can I hang, I can be something a little bit different than what some of these other guys bring, in a way that we'll see top six. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. There's a lot of players missing from the lineup, stuff like that. But if he can come out tonight, he can endear himself to a lot of fans. But you're right. Like, this is his style of game. If anybody follows Evan, you see all of his KHL stuff. You know that these are the types of moments and styles of game that he thrives in. And I want to see how much that shines through. And I think it'll be a good testament to truly where he's at in terms of his game translating at this level.
Absolutely.
All right, you ready to get over there?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's do it. That's Meghan Angley. I'm Jesse Montaño. Avs, first game of the year. We're going to have everything coming to you guys from inside the building as things wrap up tonight. The game is on TNT, so anybody can watch it, even if you're in the Denver market. So we'll talk to you guys after the game. We'll have an update for you guys. We'll be asking for your questions in the third period so that we can answer them immediately after the game, after we get done with pressers and locker rooms and all that good stuff. So look out for that. Megan, Jesse, Guerilla Sports, thanks so much, guys.